All right. So welcome to the 52nd episode of the Revolutionary Code, where we bring the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence and how that affects our people, Black people here in America, Africa, and the diaspora. I'm your host, Brother Tamani Mwandani, out of Houston, Texas. I am the direct revolutionary product of one Cardinal Bayou Chewy out of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, and the indirect revolutionary product of one Albert B. Clegg, African name, Jeramogi Bebe Ajiman, the father of liberation theology and the founder of the Shrines of the Black Madonna. I am also the founder of the Blackboard Nation movement. My co-host is Brother Craig Beadley, the National Director of Political Strategy and Implementation for the Blackboard Nation movement. He's also the chairman of LACE, Liberation Advocates for Community Empowerment. We call him the intellectual gangster, the corporate grassroots revolutionary, and I personally call him the master domino assassin from Shreveport, Louisiana, AKA the Boot. Brother Craig, how you doing this evening?
I am doing absolutely wonderful, and hello, great evening to everybody out there listening to us.
Amen, amen. So let me give you guys a brief overview about the Blackboard Nation, what we're trying to do. Our ultimate goal is to put ourselves, Black people, in a position by which we can own and not control the environment where we live, because we have learned, history has taught us that when we allow other people to control our space, we lose. Whenever we give other people the power to control what happens to us politically, we always find ourselves on the bottom. So since we no longer want to be on the bottom, we want to find Black people who want to do something. So we don't want to keep losing. So what we're trying to do is identify, organize, connect, and build. We're not just here to inform and educate. We want to inform, educate, motivate, mobilize, organize, and build. Everything we say in this movement, everything we do is about bringing our people together to find the right people so we can build something that matters, something that has power, something that we can pass on to the next generation. We want to run our leg of this race as best we can, and then put the baton in the hands of young people whom we have trained to run a better leg than we've been blessed to run. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. Tonight's show title is How to Counter the Power of State Government and Advance Equitable Public Policies for Grassroots Empowerment. How to counter the power of state government and advance equitable public policies for grassroots empowerment. So the impetus for tonight's show comes out of a new set of laws that was just passed in Texas, which I think are going to affect, in a negative way, grassroots populations across the board. So these are three of the main laws that were just passed in Texas, and they're absolutely, they're crazy. So the first one is a new abortion law. After 6 weeks of pregnancy, it is now illegal in Texas for a woman to go get an abortion. And not just that, but anyone who's had a hand in that abortion, from anyone who gives advice, anyone who drives her to the doctor's office, anyone who supports her in the decision, and of course the doctor, all can be sued for being a part of a woman getting an abortion. This literally ends Roe versus Wade in the state of Texas, on the state level, in the state of Texas. And even in the case of rape, now this is what Governor Abbott says, even in the case of rape, a woman cannot get an abortion after 6 weeks because he is going to, quote, eliminate rape in Texas, end quote. So this dude is really on another level. And this law he's passed is only going to increase back alley abortions, because people they're not going to keep a child that they don't want, especially if it's in the case of rape or incest. But apparently Governor Abbott didn't care about that. So the second law is Texas is now an open carry state. You don't need a license. You don't need training. There's no standing your ground. You can shoot whomever. And unfortunately, if the person shooting is white and the person is Black who's getting shot, they're probably gonna get away with it. So now, no law, no training, go buy a gun and have at it. That's the second law. And the third one is if a business is doing business with a gun manufacturer in Texas, any business that refuses to do business with a gun manufacturer in Texas, they will not be allowed to do business with the state. So if a business owner has said, I will not do business with these gun manufacturers or this gun manufacturer, then the state will say, because you made that decision, it's your decision to make. But if you make that decision, you cannot do business with the state of Texas. So it's punishment for not doing business with gun manufacturers. And I believe that as it is with most things that become law in Texas and California, the nation typically follows. So I expect these kinds of laws, if not these exact same laws, to start popping up all over the country. So we want to deal with this. We want to talk about it, and of course prepare our people for it, because it's our reality. And of course, if we don't do something, it's going to continue to get worse and be the case. So again, tonight's show title is How to Counter the Power of State Government and Advance Equitable Public Policies for Grassroots Empowerment. So we're going to start with two brief definitions to make sure everybody's on the same page. So Brother Craig, how do you define power and what do we mean by grassroots?
As always, I define power as, in the definition of Dr. Wade Noble's, great African descendant cultural scientist, who says that power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. Again, power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. And grassroots is I guess you could reference this as a socioeconomic group, the absolute bottom of the socioeconomic totem pole, those individuals who, for the most part, are the individuals who are being directly and most negatively impacted by the philosophy, the system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy racism. That can be African American, that can be Native American, Latino American, it could be broke white folks, Asian broke white folks. But those individuals who are the most impacted by the public policies in the system, and those individuals who were in that category, who have elevated and who desire to help empower those individuals so that they can now begin to leverage some grassroots coalitions in order to leverage power at the local level in their respective states.
Okay, solid. So draconian is defined as exceedingly harsh and very severe. So how was Governor Greg Abbott able to pass such draconian laws that are going to severely affect the lives of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people? How was he able to do this?
Everything gets down to the votes. I mean, if you got the numbers at any level, and you got 3 levels of government, local, state, federal in the United States. And he is at the state level. He has the bully pulpit. He has the majority party representation in the state of Texas, that being the Republican Party. Texas is a Republican state. And so they can count their votes because they outnumber the Democrat and they outnumber any other party, independent, libertarian, Green Party, or any other party. And therefore, since they have the vote, they can get legislation passed. And they have the consensus of the majority of residents in the state of Texas, because the majority of residents in the state of Texas look like Governor Abbott. And the majority of those individuals who look like Governor Abbott in the state of Texas are of the Republican Party. And that's how simple it is. And it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
And so they got the votes, they got the people's support, and so they go handle their business.
Okay, so these laws prove that voters, a large number of them, obviously want these laws to be in place because they got passed. So what does that mean for the grassroots? What's being communicated to the grassroots that these people voted for these laws that are going to severely affect the lives of poor people? What's being communicated here?
We don't give a goddamn how you all bellyache. If you don't get in the game and get you a squad and get you some state legislator that's and build coalition to outnumber us, hey, we're gonna keep on busting you upside the goddamn head. And we don't care how much you bellyache and complain about it. This is what we gonna do, period.
Right.
That's the game. And you know, it's interesting when you ask that question because, you know, again, I think I told you, I looked around with the Trayvon Martin
That's right.
case, and I was wondering what these Negroes wanted, and Mike Brown, what these Negroes wanted. And I was going from case to case to case to case to case. And finally, in the Freddie Brown case in Baltimore, it finally dawned on me. These Negroes want these white folks to love them. They want the white folks to stop being evil, to stop erecting public policies like the ones you just discussed in Texas. And I'm sorry, brother, Santa Claus is not real. Peter Rabbit, Peter Cottontail, the Easter Bunny is not real. And you're either going to get involved or you're going to get mowed over. It's that
simple as that. Simple as that. So you said the first thing you said is that you have to get yourself a squad. So we definitely say that this is a team sport. So in brief, how would you describe the kind of squad that we need to make sure that we're in a position to stop these things from happening or to push back against them? What kind of squad do we need? What's that look like?
The only way that we're going to win this game, and this is why I've elevated the discussion away from Pan-Africanism and Black nationalism into a political and economic philosophy that the Creator blessed me to create, called culturalism. And culturalism says the following: grassroots people, regardless of ethnicity, that means African descendants in America, so-called Native Americans, Latino Americans at the grassroots level now, Asian Americans, and so-called Caucasian grassroots folks, they must mobilize, organize together around the 4 basic principles, and that is justice, freedom, equity, and cultural respect. If that never happens, the plutocrat, the oligarch, and the aristocrat will always maintain power in every city, in every state. And thus, if you understand that politics, governmental politics all begins at the local level, right? Because at the local level, that morphs into state legislators that go to the state capitol to vote on state policy. And then from a regional standpoint, those local municipalities bond together or stitch together to now elect federal legislators in Congress and 2 per state for the Senate. So you're not going to ever be able to outnumber European descendants in math. because it's over 190 million.
That's right.
But if grassroots Latinos, grassroots Black folks, grassroots Native Americans, grassroots Asians, grassroots Caucasians come together around those four principles: freedom, justice, equity, and cultural respect, now you have the numbers at the local, state, and federal level to now start to effectuate change. But it all begins at the local level, because the local municipalities morph into legislative power at the state level. And without a diversified coalition, that will never happen. Now, that is, if you go back to the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, and we look at Fred Hampton, Fred Hampton, that's kind of sort of what he was trying to do with his, as Jesse Jackson then picks up his concept, the Rainbow Coalition. That's what he was attempting to do. But again, his concept was flawed because he was coming at this from a perspective of communism, socialism, Stalinism, Marxism, all of these concepts that are never going to work within the construct of this society. And so, but he had a good perspective that all of these grassroots people needed a seat at the table, but they had to create the seat at the table. And you got to do that through the system that is already in existence, which is capitalism, i.e. the Afrocentric system of free enterprise that comprises this whole thing at its nucleus.
Right. And of course, that's a very good point, because our people have not understood the system. So we want to destroy the very thing that we need to understand and utilize to change our condition.
Exactly.
Because we don't understand it, we want to destroy it and tear it up, not thinking that, okay, if we destroy it and tear it up, what's going to take its place? And we might say, well, you know, Marxism, communism, whatever, but those are also white political movements that also exploit people at the bottom.
Exactly.
So my next question was going to be, give us the 1, 2, 3 step process by which we can advance equitable public policy and for grassroots empowerment. But you just gave us that, starting locally, developing, educating, raising local political advocates, and then have them progress through the system. And then once they get to that state level, then they can rock and roll on your behalf, correct?
Exactly.
Cool.
And
So
that's the only way that is. It's not going to happen any other way, because history, it's just like today, there was a post. I'll give you a prime example. You got unconscious people in the city of Shreveport, in the city of Chicago, in little small towns like Bastrop, Louisiana, where a lot of people are being murdered.
mm-hmm.
And the first thing they want to say, we need to call in the National Guard. Now, one of my childhood associates made this post today, and I immediately checked his ass as to the ludicrous perspective of that. A, it's stupid. I don't know who they believe the goddamn National Guard is, but the National Guard is a collection of people who take their ass to work every day, and they seek to get a check by reporting to duty once a goddamn month. And they, you know, try to get some educational benefits, some retirement. I don't know why everybody yells for the goddamn National Guard.
TV.
These are not full-time
soldiers.
Veterans. It's your goddamn next door neighbor. It's your goddamn son who's in college who's just trying to get some goddamn military aid to pay for his schooling.
That's right.
So what the hell is supposed to happen? So now, that's a state deal anyway, okay? So why? Oh, I get it. Because we don't want to deal with the reality at the local level that Negro parents are going to have to step up and stop being punks with these children. Now, if you live in a communist state like China, I sent you that article, China not playing no game because they're already restrictive, but they lax the rules a little bit, trying to be a little progressive. And what ends up happening? They start seeing homosexuals on TV just like in America. They start seeing their young Chinese children looking at Fast and Furious movies. They listening to goddamn Asian hip hop. They playing all these goddamn video games. China say, oh, no. We about to put a stop. There will be no little Nas walking around with their bellies poked out, pretending like they pregnant.
That's right.
So shut all this down. But they can do that in the communistic system. Their policy is structure.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen in America because America sells this illusion that you can come and do what you want to do at the federal level and then at the state level. So now everything is in chaos. Everybody is scared. So now call in the National Guard, and it's never going to happen. You first got to get off your ass and get involved in the game at the local level. The majority of people are not even involved.
Right.
And one sister was like, well, brother, what's your solution? Well, I said, I'll be introducing my crime reduction plan next Tuesday at city council meeting. But I can assure you, it won't have nothing in it about no damn National Guard. And I can assure you that it's not anything that's going to be a Band-Aid or anything overnight, because this is 400 plus years that we've gotten into this situation. So there are no quick fixes. But you must initiate these things at the local level. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Trying to say we're not having that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that's Photoshop.
Right.
You know, it's Photoshop.
Yeah.
But
the idea.
yeah. Playing game.
Yeah.
Playing game. And China not having it. They're not having it. But in America, this is where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why you get pushback, Brother Tamani, on some of the policies that you referenced earlier in the state of Texas. And so people start to say, okay, we got to be your damn parent.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna be your parent. Right. Okay. So that 1, 2, 3 step process, as with most things that you present and we try to get our people to realize, I like it because it's doable. It's not pie in the sky. We don't have to wait for anybody to do it for us. We simply need to, and I say simply, not as if it's simple, but mobilize and organize, and then rock and roll from there. So as Black people, since we aren't the majority in Texas, until we build that kind of grassroots coalition with other groups, how do we create leverage? Define leverage, and then tell us how do we create leverage so that we can use what we do have to ensure that we are taken care of on a local level. So what is leverage, and how do we use it?
Leverage is simply gaining an advantage over your competition. Gaining advantage in a situation to advance your political agenda. That's what leverage is. It can happen in personal relationships, family relationships, business. So it is directly connected to the concept of politics because it's all about gaining an advantage. And so the way, again, our game plan, what we're doing with the Blackboard Nation, is already built,
right?
In terms of our concept of gaining the leverage and then being able to recruit other ethnic groups into the fold. Because you have to first start with at least one city where you have enough people that believe in the philosophy of those four principles: freedom, justice, cultural respect, and equity. And now begin to do projects and programs and create businesses to now leverage one city council seat, 2 city council seats at a time, parish, county commission seats, school board seats. And now you all start to, through the acquisition of money, status, and materialism, put forth an agenda based on your philosophy around those things and the 6 pillars of empowerment, where people can start to see, like, oh, these cats are really serious about what they're doing, and they stand on the square of their philosophy.
Right.
That's the only way that you're going to do this. There are no shortcuts to this. I told one of my colleagues when he asked me to start working with him on prison reform in the state of Louisiana back in 2017. And I told him initially he was going to have an easier time getting money to do prison reform than I would ever have doing economic development, community development, and empowerment. And he thought I was crazy. And I said, brother, you don't understand. The reason that white folks are going to roll with you, and you can see it throughout the country, you know, all of the reentry programs. Oh, we got to depopulate the prisons. Somebody, why do you think white folks have jumped on this damn issue so strong?
I think they realize that the move that they are making is going to create the new prison is going to be the Black community. They are changing their business model from prisons to technology, ankle bracelets, monitoring devices. So they don't have to lock you up and keep you, spend all that money for an institution. They can keep you institutionalized, quote unquote, in your own neighborhood by using technology, and they're going to make a bunch of money off of it. They are not lessening their desire to control Negroes or to control your physical labor. They simply found a better, more cost-effective way to keep their slaves intact.
That's part of it, and that's a good answer. And that definitely is one of the reasons why they are doing what they're doing. But simultaneously, they're doing it to create the illusion that they're being benevolent to their slaves.
Yeah.
That, you know, they know that they've created the situation. So this creates an illusion of benevolence. That's the second part. And then the third and most important thing, somebody they know the majority of these Negroes are gonna go back.
That's right. Yep, so it don't matter.
Recidivism rates are 85% and higher. And so they know the Negroes are gonna go. Now, why are they gonna go back? Because they know that the system of capitalism, the philosophy, system, and game of capitalism ain't did what in 30 years since your ass been locked up? It ain't changed.
They change, and they make it very. We should have a show on that. They make it very, 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 very difficult for you to survive. Once you can't do nothing.
Okay.
You can't get no assistance. You can't get a job. You got to eat.
Okay. So entrepreneurship is the only way that the majority of these cats are going to rock and roll.
Right.
So that's a great hustle. Put money behind reentry and housing, and you can now show, look what we did.
Yeah. And it looks good if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, we have to do this, we have to do that. But they already know the vast majority of these cats gonna go back.
Right.
Because the vast majority of these cats are not in control of their mind.
That's right.
And therefore they lack the discipline that it's gonna take to stay out of prison.
Right. Right. And you know, when you take a step back and look at the totality, of the system from birth, the indoctrination starts. And when we watch the documentary Waiting on Superman, you are never properly educated as to who you are, what you are, how to critically think, who really runs the system, how the system works. So it's no shock that people are locked up because the system is designed to do that. And it's no shock that people don't know how to stay out of it. It's you are, like we said, I think 2 episodes ago, it's an illusion.
Exactly.
That so many of us have bought into, and we won't even realize that, it's all the Matrix, and it's sad.
And they're going to create the illusion that you chose.
Right.
You chose, although you didn't choose.
Mm-hmm.
It's a predetermined
selection. That's right.
That was already there, and you don't know the difference between choice and predetermined selection. So, hey, because it don't matter. Once you hit 17, whatever happened to you between 1 second of age and 16 years, 364 days of age, whether you were raped, beat, whatever your situation is, brother, by the time you turn 17, guess what, Negro? You're supposed to know that.
Yeah, all of a sudden, just because. And we say ignorance is no excuse.
No,
and you would think it would be an excuse because you didn't know, because you were never taught, but it don't work that way. It don't work that way at all. So, all right. So if you missed the beginning of the show, you are listening to the Revolutionary Code, where we bring the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence and how that affects our people here in America, Africa, and around the world. This is our 52nd episode, and the title of tonight's show is How to Counter the Power of State Government and Advance Equitable Public Policies for Grassroots Empowerment. My name is Tamani Mwandani. I'm the founder of the Blackboard Nation movement, and my co-host is Brother Craig B. Lee, our National Director of Political Strategy and Implementation. So, Brother Craig, next question. Community activists and community advocates. What's the difference? And which ones do we need to push back against this?
Well, you need both.
Okay.
You need both. But the activist is an individual, typically at the grassroots level, who responds to situations. They respond when they hear about shootings. They respond to police brutality. They are reactionary. Advocates are pro-action. They step to the table to set the stage for an issue, for an agenda. They're the ones who lobby. They create the plans, and then they go and advocate for those things. They help to structure public policy. So that's the major difference. They are pro-action versus being like an activist reactionary. And at the end of the day, the advocate is the more sophisticated entity who understands that you got to have voices shaking the tree, but simultaneously, you have to have people who can also negotiate, but you set the agenda and you don't allow the agenda to be set for you. But you need activists, people who just want to go and yell and hold up signs. That's important.
Right.
I don't diminish their role, but advocacy is a larger scope of the work, and it can incorporate activism in terms of yelling and creating physical tension between different parties. But activism, doesn't necessarily incorporate what I consider to be lobbying or advocacy. It appears that that's what's going on, but when there's no police shooting, let's say if you take the so-called Black Lives activist homosexual movement. Now that you haven't seen any, although they exist, but you haven't seen any major George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. What's up there, Brother Mike? You haven't seen anything like that jump off. Where's Black Lives Matter been?
They're on vacation.
Yeah, they react to situations. They're not proactive, they're reactive.
Right.
And when you're reactive, now you're just waiting for situations to happen. Proactive, you're constantly pushing, as I had to push from 1996 until this year, helping to get the disparity study for our contract procurement program funded. So you're talking, years, 25 years doing that. But that's advocacy work, that's lobbying work. Those who are activists would have never stayed around and been persistent on one issue to see it through this long.
So the activist wants to talk about the problem or the symptom of the problem, and the advocate wants to deal with why the problem exists, so that we don't have to deal with it anymore.
And that's
the root cause of the problem.
Yeah, that's another good one you can throw in. And there are levels to advocacy, just like there are levels to activism.
Yeah.
Not all advocates are in pursuit of the root cause. Some of them who are lobbyists, good advocates, they, persistent on issues, but most of them, to be honest with you, they are just hitting on the symptomatic ailment as well. So very few people understand in this country the complexities of all of the factors that go into it.
Right. So if Black Lives Matter is a good example of a community activist, then what would be a good example of a community advocate?
What the NAACP Legal Defense Fund used to be. Charles Hamilton Houston, and Thurgood Marshall, A.P. Turo, these individuals, they went and attacked. They didn't allow for the issue to come. You look at our third African American Lieutenant Governor in the state of Louisiana, C.C. Antoine. I mentioned him. He and his group, the Citizen Committee in New Orleans, they put Homer Plessy on a trolley car, knowing that he would be found out and arrested, so then they could file a lawsuit in order to challenge the discriminatory practices of transportation system in New Orleans. And that case led to the historic landmark case, Plessy versus Ferguson of 1896. So those are advocates, those people who set the table, pursue legal action, pursue public policy initiatives to get those things changed. The activists pretty much just the rabble-rousers.
All right. So your answers are creating questions in my head. But before I ask this next set of questions, this next question define for me liberation entertainer.
The liberation entertainer is an individual who creates the illusion in the minds of grassroots people, regardless of ethnicity, that they are in the advocacy game, in the activism game, fighting for the freedom, justice, and empowerment of a particular ethnic group, while simultaneously selling them out. So they create the illusion that they're fighting for, advocating for freedom, justice, equity, empowerment. Simultaneously, they're cutting deals with the government, with corporate America, in order to sell the people out. So they're romanticizing the people's ear, their soul, their mind, with a lot of revolutionary rhetoric and talk, and then they receive money for their romanticizing words. But at the end of the day, it's nothing but theater. Hence the term liberation entertainer.
Right.
They are entertaining via political theater to get people to come on board, and they are used in order to stop true grassroots movement.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a list of people, and I want you to tell me liberation entertainer, activist, or advocate.
All right.
And I was thinking about this specifically, one brother in particular, and I'll get to him, but I was listening to, I think it was Toby Wigway, one of his songs, and no, KRS-One. At the beginning of the song, Stokely Carmichael is speaking. Powerful speaker, powerful words, but then I thought I was, and don't respond yet because I am going to ask you about him. I was thinking about how eloquent the brother was.
Yeah.
How on point his speeches were, how much sense they made. But then I had to juxtapose that with what concretely did he leave us? You know, and I wasn't trying to take anything away from the brother at all. But the fact of the matter is, he left us with some powerful words.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we say in this movement, we have to critically analyze with love and respect who came before us, what they did, what they left us, and what we can learn from it. Yeah. And if we know, just like we just got finished saying, and this is why we say in the show, we're not here to just entertain you. We're not just trying to inform you. We're trying to educate you, to inform you, to help you understand what's going on so you can do something. These kinds of laws are going to continue to be passed unless we do what you just said, get active and get involved in the game. Because just talking changes nothing. And if all we have is a bunch of liberation entertainers and activists, people who are talking about the problem after the fact, then it's going to continue. So we need advocates, but we need advocates who are corporate grassroots revolutionaries. Please see episode 50. So I'm going to give you a name. I want you to tell me liberation entertainer. I'm going to add one. Liberation entertainer, activist, advocate, or revolutionary. And I'm adding revolutionary.
Well, the revolutionary is going to be
the advocate. Okay, cool. All right. So I'll leave advocate / revolutionary. Okay, so liberation entertainer, activist, or advocate / revolutionary. Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey.
Unfortunately, a liberation.
Why an entertainer, not an advocate?
Because number one, Garvey never even went to Africa.
True.
Number two, Garvey was talking about being the damn president of the goddamn continent of Africa.
Right.
We know that that's retarded, right?
So a person's ignorance or lack of knowledge.
Sure.
No. So you saying he knew he was being unrealistic?
Think about that, Tamani.
It is a big place.
Marcus Garvey, and I love Garvey.
Yeah.
Got respect for him. But when you critically analyze Garvey, you got to deal with some real deal stuff. Garvey died in goddamn London, England. He died in Europe, never having set foot on the continent of Africa. But he wanted to be the president of the whole damn continent. There's no such thing as a president of a goddamn continent.
That's right.
Okay, so what we have is an individual who was over his head. He had outran his flanks. He believed he was smarter than what he was. And thus he became an entertainer to the ears of the masses of the people. And that's just the reality. Initially a good cat, but he got sidetracked. He meant well, but he became a grassroots entertainer. I can't attach the term revolutionary to Garvey because, again, he didn't build. He established the largest organization initially, but it didn't have any sustainability because there was no institution, no foundation that he erected in the United States. However, people like my uncle, Giles D. Moore, who was a follower, a supporter, a member of the UNIA, my goddamn uncle started his own damn town, which is now part of the city of Shreveport.
So you say Garvey became a liberation entertainer?
Yeah.
What was he before that?
He was teetering on being a grassroots revolutionary advocate because he was studying Booker T. Washington and what Booker T. was doing at Tuskegee. But Garvey's gift was his public speaking and the fact that he read books. So he played the word game just like the majority of the folks who come before our people. There's no real master plan to do anything because they don't even understand the complexity of what they're up against. So it's just a lot of idealism and rhetoric that comes into the mix. And so it becomes propaganda, wordplay, and whatnot. And then, I mean, hell, he was only around for a couple of years. And so he was able to build on the hopes and aspirations of our people at a time where we were only 50 years out of slavery.
And of course, that's what makes the words that people who have the gift of speech so powerful, because it most certainly romanticizes the ear. And it sounds good, but if there's no concrete, realistic solution attached, then of course it's just talk. So I'm glad you mentioned Booker T. Washington because he's next. Booker T. Washington, liberation entertainer, activist, or advocate? Advocate / revolutionary.
He was definitely an advocate.
For sure.
And ironically, he was really on the level of grassroots hybrid because he understood that we needed to take advantage of all of the skill sets that have been developed for our people during chattel slavery.
That's right.
Hence the whole push for vocational education. He was an advocate just based on his partnership with George Washington Carver, being at the same institution. And he has an institution that still exists to this day.
That they built. While they were going to school, they were building that thing. That's awesome.
And he has a second institution that he sent his pupil to open, Charles P. Adams, Grambling State University. So the initial president of Grambling State University was a mentee of Booker T. Washington, and he helped to advance Grambling State University, Grambling College. The initial names of it wasn't Grambling State University, but his mentee helped to erect that institution.
Okay.
So definitely, I would classify him
advocate / revolutionary. W.B. Du Bois.
What he was talking about was revolutionary.
Yeah, and he did it.
Yeah.
So W.B. Du Bois.
Pre or post consciousness?
Both. I think I know where he is post, but I'm gonna say both, pre and post. Wait, pre and post, and what caused the change?
Pre-consciousness, Du Bois was a bourgeoisie advocate for it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, because based on his perspective and his understanding and his strategy.
I want people on this call to do some homework tonight and look up the term, and you can pull it up for them. The money, MUM, MUM, bet, BETT, MUM, bet. Here's my premise on Du Bois. Du Bois got sidetracked from his revolutionary upbringing, because when you see who his great grandmother was, Mom Bet, and you see what she did in the United States, you will see that he comes from, as the old people would say, good stock. So his great grandmother was a revolutionary. She fought, and not only did she fight, she won, became the first African descendant in America to win reparations in the state of Massachusetts. So he comes from
good stock,
some revolutionary stock.
That's right.
He got sidetracked with his education and going to Harvard and being the first African descendant to receive a PhD from Harvard. He got caught up in wanting to parallel an elite society of Negroes similar to the Skull and Bones and the other secret societies of the white folks. He was a proud dude. He wasn't necessarily trying to be white, but he got caught up.
Right.
But as he evolved and got some enlightenment, he became a Pan-Africanist, went to Africa, and at that point, he elevated into a grassroots revolutionary mind.
Okay.
But unlike, now he does have an institution that still exists to our detriment,
right? And
that's the Boule. And
right.
I mean, he helped to goddamn create it.
Yeah.
That is the cornerstone that created the Divine Nine, Sigma Pi Phi, and he helped the white folks create the NAACP.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when people say he doesn't have anything that still exists, well, he does, but it's the pre-Enlightenment Du Bois.
That's right.
The white folks, when he elevated into his awareness, into his consciousness, and he was in Ghana, they weren't gonna let his ass come back and undo what he did.
That's right.
So Du Bois is a mixed bag. We need it. We need doctors and lawyers.
Of course.
Hell, goddamn yeah.
Right.
We need brick masons, beauticians, and hell yeah.
Right.
How the hell they couldn't understand that and unite, bro?
It's crazy.
It's just retarded, man.
Right. All right. We're gonna move on to the next one. Liberation entertainer, activists, or advocates / revolutionary. Stokely Carmichael.
Liberation entertainer.
Easy. Why?
Stokely don't have nothing other than speeches.
Speeches. Okay.
Yeah, Stokely don't have nothing other than speeches.
All right.
Because and what he learned, he could make money just talking.
And he did that.
And he did that.
Yeah.
And he left the United States and went to Africa and just talked, made a life out of talking.
Yeah. Martin Luther King.
Revolutionaries don't goddamn run like that, bro.
That's right. Yeah, they're too busy doing the work.
Exactly.
Martin Luther King.
Bourgeoisie. He was an advocate. Definitely, he was an advocate.
For sure.
He was a lobbyist.
Yep.
For kind of sort of our people, you know.
Well, he would have been an activist and an advocate, right? When you say advocate or activist.
Well, he did both. See, I told you the advocate can use activism to their advantage.
Sure.
But he was definitely an advocate.
Okay.
He was not a revolutionary by no stretch of the imagination, but he was definitely an advocate. And he evolved, but he was still bourgeoisie advocate.
Gotcha. Malcolm X.
Oh, definitely grassroots revolutionary. Although Malcolm got caught up in the speeches and whatnot as well, he didn't run. He was straight up about the business of advocating for our people. He just didn't have all of the understanding of what it would take going against this 5 billion ton white gorilla that we're dealing with.
But no one has had that understanding.
Yeah, no, and you know, we still have to, you know, deal with that reality. But yeah, he was definitely grassroots revolutionary advocate and one of our greatest champions. He learned, as you're seeing with the Godfather of Harlem, and if you even research him, a lot of his governmental politics from Adam Clayton Powell. He had a team.
Yep.
Working with him, but I would classify Malcolm as an advocate who also could, but and he didn't do a lot of activism because that really wasn't a part of the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
When he broke away from the nation in '64, he was only around for, you know, almost a year later.
The Black Panthers.
Grassroots activists. Their advocacy again was misdirected.
That's right. Yeah.
They were advocates for the wrong stuff. Fred Hampton was an advocate with a better perspective, again with the Rainbow Coalition group that he was trying to do, but it was rooted in the wrong philosophies.
It's a better limited perspective.
Yeah, very, very limited.
Yeah.
From that. But I would classify them partially as advocates in terms of they were trying to set the table with something, but they were primarily activists more than anything else.
And that's because they didn't fully understand the table, correct?
They did. I mean, they were very, but they were 20-some years old.
Very young, yeah, amen, very young. Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition.
I mean, bourgeoisie advocate, liberation entertainer. He for goddamn sure was a liberation entertainer.
What would you say he was always that?
Oh yeah. Jesse was crooked. Jesse was born crooked.
Okay.
Jesse was born crooked.
All right, so, Reverend Al Sharpton in his National Action Network.
That's a damn mentee. So, liberation entertainer, pseudo bourgeoisie. He want to be bourgeoisie, but he's pseudo bourgeoisie. But yeah, definitely liberation entertainer, activist.
All right, Umar Johnson.
Oh my goodness. Damn show Liberation Entertainer. He's definitely, yeah, he's a Liberation Entertainer. He's not, he pretends to be grassroots.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could say he's an advocate for some issues in the Black community, but yeah, he's a Liberation Entertainer for damn sure.
Yeah.
I can't even, not even really an activist. Partially an advocate, but it's all a setup for his Liberation Entertainment.
Right. And what amazes me is that regardless of how much proof comes out about his wayward business practices, if we can call them business, he continues to get donations, which is crazy. All right. Tariq Nasheed.
Oh, straight up Liberation Entertainer, man.
Easy.
He
Brother.
ain't goddamn revolutionary. He ain't no damn activist or advocate.
He might just be a business owner.
Yeah. But he pushes liberation and enlightenment, you know, so he's entertaining.
At least he has some useful products. I mean, the videos are good. Yeah.
Well, the good thing about him, unlike Umar Johnson, he delivered on what he said he was going to deliver on.
Right.
And that's goddamn Hidden Colors and whatever, because it's easier to do that.
Sure.
Than doing a goddamn school.
Yeah, and I think he just raised money to open, and I think they broke ground on it. A Black museum.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I'm not sure if it's New York, but anyway, I don't know who owns it, but he did that. And the last one is Brother Polite.
Oh, well, straight trash. And I can't even. He's not even a Liberation Entertainer. He's an entertainer. He's a pseudo-intellectual captain.
Pseudo-intellectual.
Yeah, because he gives you a lot of mumbo jumbo that's not intellectual, but he can romanticize your ear.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's a clever bait and switch game that he plays, but it's pseudo-intellectual.
Okay.
But it's nothing. He's coming with rhetoric. Now he reads and he can remember.
That's right.
He articulates very well. But again, if you don't see the physical work, you already know what's going on.
Right. And that goes to my next question. Why is it so important? We're not just naming names for nothing. We're not just trying to bash Black people. That's not what we do. We're doing this for a reason. So Brother Craig, why is it so important that we Black people know what a liberation entertainer is, what an activist is, what an advocate is, and an advocate/revolution? Why must we know that?
Because the liberation entertainer will end up leading countless thousands and millions of people down the road to nowhere. And so much time, resources, energy would be wasted, and you continue to build on the competition for the real advocates. You know, as we get ready for this campaign for next year, people always ask me, so who are you running against? You know, what candidate? I don't have a candidate that I'm running against. Well, I mean, who is your competition? And I tell them, ignorance, apathy,
that's right,
pessimism, and cynicism.
Right.
I mean, who are you running against? What candidate? Ignorance, apathy, pessimism, and cynicism. It's 18,000 goddamn voters in my district. When less than 30% of them go out and pull the lever, I'm not running against any particular candidate. I'm running against ignorance, apathy, pessimism, and cynicism, because those are the competitors that keep over 70% of the voting electorate from going out to vote.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not in competition with the incumbent or anybody else who gets in the game. I'm in competition with ignorance, apathy, pessimism, and cynicism. And that's what we are in competition with the Blackboard Nation,
right,
Aru is in competition with that in Oakland with what he's trying to do. Anybody who is trying to do something to empower our people, we're in competition with those entities. And the more liberation entertainers are allowed to go unchecked, their punk ass increases the apathy, ignorance, pessimism, and cynicism in our people. And ultimately, it morphs into stupidity and idleness. And so that's why we must stop and identify the liberation entertainers and all these other charlatans.
That's right.
Out there, leading our people into the abyss of nothing.
Right. Amen. So tonight's show title, How to Counter the Power of State Government and Advance Equitable Public Policies for Grassroots Empowerment. As we just got finished discussing, advocates are where it's at. We don't need any more activists who aren't trying to do more than just be active, and we most certainly don't need liberation entertainers. So, Brother Craig, how do we create more advocates? How do we get more people involved in this fight and be a part of a team? How do we do that?
The small group of us who are part of the Blackboard Nation and those who are coming on board, we got to leverage, as I always tell you, the money, status, and materialism from our people. And that goes without trying to convert their asses to some kind of damn religion or some type of social group or whatever. But like I tell you, all we need is 4 things from the vast majority of, but not even from the vast majority, really just 40%.
Yeah.
We need a percentage of their disposable income. We need their damn vote, a percentage of their intellectual capital, whether it be their labor and or idea, and we need their positive publicity for our businesses, programs, and projects.
That's right.
We get those resources, we now transform, because that's the only thing that they believe is real, money, status, and materialism, because they got to see that goddamn bag, got to see the bag, but they've never seen the grassroots advocate, the revolutionaries with the goddamn bag.
That's right.
When you show the bag to the grassroots Negro, now the grassroots Negro can be recruited because now they see, damn, they ain't all broke. They actually got a being. They actually got a house. What a concept. They can actually take a damn trip to Atlanta. What a concept. So when they see that, now you can recruit their asses and you got a budget because most of them are now built Tonka tough, like I am, like you are. So you got to provide some form of a stipend until we get them understanding the entrepreneurial responsibilities and grassroots advocacy responsibilities that they need. Then we can recruit them. We recruit them through dominoes. We recruit them through arts. We recruit them through the mediums that they like.
Right.
But we have the grassroots twist on it, so then they can see, oh, it's cool to be smart.
That's right.
And cultural and spiritual.
Right.
And you don't have to be broke to be enlightened and conscious. Damn, Craig got a goddamn nice ass Infinity QR, whatever the hell it is. Not because Craig gives a damn about the car, but because Craig knows that the damn people give a damn
about the car. That's right. That's right. So one of the first questions I asked you is how was Governor Greg Abbott able to do what he did? And you correctly stated, of course, because he got the voters to vote for what he wanted or what they wanted, and then he made it law. So we
no. The voters had already voted for the legislators who are majority Republican, which is his party, and he counted the goddamn votes, not the voting electorate votes, but the votes of the legislators who were put in office by the voters. So when you get
okay, so his squad.
his goddamn
His
squad.
squad, yeah.
His squad. He got two squads. He got the voting electorate squad, who elects his damn real squad, who now comes into the state legislature. They now get together, cut the goddamn cake up, and now they bring the stuff up. They not already counted the votes. They do all the stuff they do in front of everybody on TV. That's what we call political theater.
It's theater, yeah. It's
you feel like they're gonna, got a chance to do something. Okay, we need to have a hearing on this. No, but
okay.
The meeting before the meeting was already had. Okay?
Right. This decision's already been made.
Okay.
All right. So we've done at least one show on examples of some strong mayors who were working for and looking out for the grassroots. We talked about Marion Barry out of DC, Harold Washington out of Chicago, and Maynard Jackson out of Atlanta. Those three in particular, I remember. And Chukwe Lumumba.
Chukwe Lumumba in Jackson, but he was over his head. He didn't.
Okay. So, huh?
He's very idealistic.
Okay, so those are examples of strong mayors who did some things for the grassroots that our people benefited from. Can you think of any equivalent governors who did right by the grassroots on that level?
Hell no.
So when we,
I mean, the only governor you really could point to in the United States, and he was so profound, and this tells you how profound he was, because he was mentioned in one of the segments, the episode of Plutocracy, and that was our Louisiana governor,
the white dude,
Huey P. Long.
Yeah. Okay.
Huey P. Long scared them white folks because he said everybody needed chicken in every pot, a Cadillac in every driveway, and something,
And they said, whoa.
It's like, wait a minute, white boy. Wait a minute, Cajun.
Gotcha. All right, Brother Craig, that is the end of my questions. I have the one question that I always ask at the end of the show. You get one takeaway from tonight's show to ensure everyone will have with them, keep with them, fully understand for the rest of their lives. So based on what we've discussed tonight, what would that one takeaway be?
At each level, the game gets more complex. At each level, from local to state to federal to international, the game gets more, the system and the game gets more complex. And you have to have a multi-dimensional, multi-ethnic squad the higher the game goes. You need it at the local level, but you damn sure need it when you talk about leveraging power at the state level to change policy, for goddamn sure at the national level. And ironically, at the international level, you're not trying to change policy, you're actually trying to leverage resources from countries back to your local territory and to your state.
That's right.
And so you can actually represent your city as a country, your state as a goddamn country.
That's right.
You can elevate your thinking.
Amen. All right. So that concludes tonight's show. That concludes my questions. We're now going to open this thing up for questions and answers from you guys. So as always, Brother Naru has turned his camera on, so that means he has a question. Brother Naru.
Peace. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I have a couple of questions. First, I wanted to know how you would categorize Dr. Claude Anderson. Tamani, don't go nowhere, because I want to know if you read any of his books, either one of you. Dr. Claude Anderson, have you read any of his books, and how would you classify him?
Yeah, black labor, white wealth.
I read that one.
So Doc is he's really bourgeoisie kind of. I guess you could call him an advocate to some degree, but Doc is really a liberation entertainer, because most of what Doc is talking about when he does his powernomics presentation, it's idealistic fantasy. Whenever you start out talking about what if the Black entertainer, the Black athlete were to put money back, stop. That's never going to happen. So Doc does a lot of idealistic propaganda. Another thing that makes him a liberation entertainer, I remember he started propagating the lie about trying to soften the blow on Uncle Tom. And he started propagating this lie that Uncle Tom was really a revolutionary character, and Jambo and Sambo and Jambo were the evil characters in the book, or the evil people in the book. Well, people started propagating this foolishness. And these are people who didn't read the goddamn book by Harriet Beecher Stowe, and they didn't know the background of the goddamn book. And I challenge a few of his followers to now give me the perspective of who the book was written about, supposed to be about. And it was supposed to be about the male version of Harriet Tubman, Josiah Henson. And Josiah Henson was a revolutionary who broke away from slavery and went back and rescued his family and rescued other Black people. So if the book is supposed to be about him, how does the book turn out being about a person who don't never want to break away from slavery, who loves the goddamn white folks, who advocates Christianity, all of this foolishness? And what Claude Anderson didn't understand, think about this now, Ru, because you're on a cultural level. The bad characters, and she made them evil and bad in the book, but they were following the orders of who? The slave owner.
What was his name? I'm trying to remember.
Legree.
Simon Legree. There we go. Simon Legree.
So Legree directs them to do all of this evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody goddamn name in the damn book is a European name. What does she name the goddamn Negro character? Sambo and Jambo. You think she did that just by chance, Brother Naru?
No, sir.
She was demonizing who, Brother Naru?
The Black folks. Yeah, the Black folks, yeah.
But that's why we gotta know the difference between Black and Negro. Because goddamn me, Uncle Tom was elevated. He was wonderful. He was loving. He loved his little Missy, and he was willing to die for her. That's why. So my point about saying all that, Claude Anderson showed me when he didn't know how to break that down, he really doesn't understand the game. And so he gets caught up in propagating a lot of things. But Claude Anderson was right with them white folks when all these policies were being passed.
Yeah.
Claude Anderson is a part of the goddamn bootleg. Yeah. So he is what he is.
All right, good one.
He comes out with a few good things.
Yeah, and I read the same book years ago, and unfortunately for him, fortunately for me, the Shrine was was known for bringing authors through the bookstore. So I had a chance to meet him. And because the founder of the Shrine had been around for so long, he knew all these people. Mm-hmm. So he was not impressed with most of them because he knew them, like Brother Craig just said, he knew them way back when. And he knew who Claude Anderson really was because all that black talk he's doing now, he wasn't doing that back then. Yeah. He was trying to be a part of the system, all that stuff he talks about as far as, I did this with the presidency, I could have done that. None of that's true. So Black Labor White was a powerful book, awesome words, but how many black people write books that got powerful words in them? A lot. What have they actually done?
Yeah.
So the book is awesome. I love the book, but fortunately for me, I have relationships with people who remember him, way back when. And the things he's talking about now, most of it's not true because he, like Craig just said, he was with them white folks back then.
Yeah.
Respect. Thank you. Okay, last final question. This one is, has there ever been or will there ever be a political or social system that doesn't have some form of an underclass? Lonnie's smiling over there.
The answer to that is no.
That's what I thought.
Although my system would eradicate I guess you could say poverty. Culturalism would eradicate poverty. However, everybody is never going to be on the same level.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's idealistic when people think that people doing the same. It's just not going to happen.
That's never going to happen because everybody doesn't have the same passion, the same desire to make life better for themselves and for others. We can give basic things, housing and whatnot, to every goddamn body, but not rude. Everybody doesn't have the same genetic and epigenetic makeup. Everybody doesn't have the same drive.
True.
So even if we gave everybody basic housing, basic food, basic transportation, and now we say those of us who want to come up with great ideas and have bigger houses, better cars and whatnot, now everybody has got their basic necessities now. But those of us who aspire to be greater, not really still gonna be a small percentage that aspire to be greater, and the largest just cool just being where they're at. You see? So they actually would create their own underclass based on that overall dynamic, because you can't force people to learn how to come into their purpose. You can't force people to embrace spirituality and organic right culture. So you offer it to them, and those who roll, those who don't. But the answer is no, there'll never be a system where there's not an underclass, but you can establish a system where you don't treat the underclass in such an oppressive way, and they kind of like are allowed to at least have the basic necessities in order to survive.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So, and riding off of that, would you say then there's no way to really eliminate crime? Because if you've always got an underclass and you got people with more, you're gonna have some people that want to come and take from the people who have more. Is that correct as well?
So here's what I tell people when they believe that crime is a byproduct of the lack of money or currency. The poorest that we've ever been as African descendants in this country was on February 1st, 1865, the day after the 13th Amendment was passed. Because that day, it was no longer the responsibility of the slave owner to at least provide our ancestors with hog guts and little shacks on their property. Now the system of sharecropping and all of the other hustles kicked in, and slavery by another name kicked in. So you can't get as poor as we were then. Not really, we weren't doing all of the criminal activities that we're doing today.
That's right.
So while some crime can be attributed, like theft, a little theft for food, stuff like that, you can't attribute crime truly to the lack of poverty. That's an ethical and moral thing that people tap into. And those who, no matter how poor an individual is, if you have the right ethical and moral code, you're not going to get caught up in criminal activity. Because our ancestors didn't get caught up in criminal activity. They figured out how to work and make it happen. And so when you see, you take Nick Van Exel, you remember Nick Van Exel, the basketball player, right?
Right. Yeah, I heard what happened to his son. Yeah.
Well, why did his son goddamn commit murder?
Stupid.
Goddamn daddy rich,
Just stupid.
big ass house.
Yeah.
You can go down the list and you can see families where a lot of these cats, all these cats ain't coming from no street that commit crime. A lot of them come from good families, right? They come from good goddamn families. And so you say, well, if the lack of money is why people commit crime, why do these goddamn good people, these people that come from good families commit crime? So that's a thing that I don't think we really sit down and think about on an in-depth level. It sounds good. A lot of people like to propagate it. Hell, my mother never made over $15,000 in any given year. She raised 2 children in the hood. I never committed any goddamn crime. Most of my partners never committed crime. But I got a partner whose father was our coach in elementary. His mother and father, their father both worked for AT&T. His ass became a goddamn dope dealer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. Strong points. Appreciate it.
So Brother Nari, I wouldn't, my answer to your first question is the only difference is I wouldn't use the word underclass.
Okay.
Because I don't think what we're trying to do will result in people being quote unquote an underclass. I agree with Brother Craig, everybody's not going to be on the same level because everybody's not on the same level. But we most certainly want to do everything we can to ensure that because you don't have a dollar, you're not eating, kind of thing. So we don't believe in an underclass, but everybody's not on the same level. That's just a given. And I don't want to say the cream rises because cream is not black, but the ebony will rise. Okay, that's the first one. And the second one, and this is down the road. Your daughters. I think African people were able to do things because we were on a different plane of existence, mentally and spiritually. I think we had the power, and we can have that power now if we understood it, to affect the energy field. So Brother Craig is always talking about spirituality and organic right culture. Well, if 2, 3, 4 generations down the road, we have spirituality that we've had for 2 or 3 generations, and we have the kind of culture that we've worked on and developed for 2 or 3 generations, then who's to say what we can do in that energy field where we live that we've created? So it's very possible that we could create the kind of society where there is no crime because we control that space and there's no need for it. Again, that's down the road, but I believe it's possible if you believe in the energy field and understand how it works.
Thank you both. Really great answers tonight.
So,
Yes, sir.
Cool. Any other questions or comments for Brother Craig from anybody tonight before we log off? Any questions going? What? Brother Ted, you got a question, comment?
I do.
I'm just
not sure how to ask it.
Just do it in English, and we'll do the best we can.
Okay, so I like the way you asked the question, and Brother Craig went to answering about these various people. Some of the names I knew: Martin Luther King, Carter, was all these different names that you went through.
Yeah.
A lot of people I don't know them, and I'm new to this space.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff that I do, one of the things that people tend to ask, and I try not to go and sell them the whole thing, but what makes Black, the simplest way I could think of asking this question is, what makes Black Gold Nation and the efforts and the work that we're planning to do different from all the people gone before us who, I can't say for sure, because I completely agree about the whole Jesse Jackson thing. I think the man is just right, and he probably was born crooked like that. So I completely support that particular position. But somewhere along the way, there are people who started out trying to do good things, did things right, or some degree of right. But these brilliant minded folks that did all this stuff, that fell away, got off track, went astray, package it in all these different ways. How is it that we would avoid that same demise in a sense, or I mean, what would make us different?
Hold on a second, Brother Craig, before you answer. Brother Ted, that is an excellent question. And that question is so important that Brother Craig damn near gives the answer every episode. And this is our 52nd episode. Good question, brother. Brother Craig?
Yeah, great question, Brother Ted. But it all gets down to those 6 pillars of empowerment. No organization, including the greatest quantitative organization in world African American or African organization in world history, which was the UNIA, none of them were rooted in the 6 pillars of empowerment. None of them. They were never structured around spirituality, and spirituality and religiosity, 2 totally different things. Garvey hinted on culture, but there was not a cultural structure within the organization. He said Africa, but there was no cultural practices. All right. Then the educational piece, Garvey was, for all intents and purposes, a dictator. Okay, so education is paramount so that everybody in the organization can maximize his or her skill set. Then that goes into the 4th most important component, which most people believe is the most important, but it's not the most important, because if you don't have spirituality and culture and education, if you're focused on making money, economic component, then you're not going to know how to intelligently direct and control those resources in order to maximize the effectiveness of your agenda for the benefit of the masses of your people. Then the socioeconomic piece, where we're dealing with the public policy that will effectively help to empower our people on a macro level, that now comes into play. And then lastly, the analysis of politics. And Brother T, I let people know that I'm not just talking about governmental politics, because politics is in everything that we do, because it's all about what your agenda is, individually and collectively, in your marriage, in your family, in the community, in government, in business, in everywhere, right? So no organization, you can look at all of them, none of them have embraced those 6 pillars of empowerment, number 1, and number 2, none of them have broken this down from a departmental standpoint, where we're realistically, truthfully, and honestly dealing with where we're at, not to try to bring down the United States government. We're not advocating any damn communism and Marxism and let's go back to Africa as if Africa is a goddamn panacea. Although I love my brothers and sisters on the continent and wherever, if we don't handle our business in the United States of America, no other Black people in the goddamn world will be able to survive, period. So ain't gonna be no going back to no goddamn Africa on no boat, although we can go back spiritually and reclaim that which was stolen. We are being truthful, transparent, and honest in this. And men to money and the national leadership, we've already had knock them out, drag them out, and I've let to money know. We will not establish any organization based on anything religious, because all of your national groups, including the UNIA, at the core of the UNIA was Christianity. At the core of the Nation of Islam is goddamn Islam. At the core of Rainbow and Push was Christianity. At the core of SNCC was Christianity. At the core of Blackboard Nation is spirituality and organic right culture. And spirituality is not a belief, it is the power that exists in you. Our job is to show our members how to unlock, unleash, and activate your spiritual power that don't cost no damn tithes and offering. Okay? You ain't got to pay.
Right.
You ain't got to pray 5 times to goddamn east and 5 times to damn west. You ain't got to wear no special fez. Okay? It's not rooted in anything other than those 6 pillars and the work that we begin to do for the benefit of our people. You can't name another. Right now, the NAACP is the oldest organization around. They ain't got no spirituality, no culture, no education, no economic, no socioeconomics, and they just playing like they're about governmental policy. So that is the answer that I would give you. And we are also, Brother Ted, about the business of allowing our talent to shine, because it ain't just gonna be no one person shining. If you got skills in a particular area, your ass don't shine. I told Tamani, I want his ass to be the chairman for the next 50 goddamn years, because I got too much work to do in Shreveport right now. He like bouncing around and going all over. I'll support him 100%. So we're not ego-driven. We're not creating illusions in order to sexualize females. You ain't gonna have no damn sexism within the BGN. You got females who are respected, their talents are respected. We will put their ass in check now if they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they ain't got, it's just about truth, man. And that's really what it's all about.
So brother Ted, it's those 6 pillars, and also what Brother Craig talks about, and I'll be shocked if he hasn't mentioned it in every movie review: the philosophy, the system, and the game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism. Our movements have not been successful, brother, because they don't understand what we are involved with. They don't understand how deep it goes. They don't understand how old it is. They don't understand how it works. So when we're talking about tonight's show, we're talking about the laws that was just passed in Texas and how it came to be. You don't hear Black people talking about, you know, if you control your local politics, if you raise a new kind of political advocate, if you had control over your local economics, then you could buffer yourself from these kinds of things, because no one's never really understood it. And the closest we've come to any sort of real political movement was the Panthers, and they were off base. Not because they were stupid or unintelligent, they just didn't know. So having something that's that starts with spirituality and goes from there is, you know, we've had religion, of course, but we never had that true spiritual, from an African perspective, understanding. And we've never taken time to study the movie reviews and what we're involved in. And we see that now, Brother Ted. We give this kind of information every week, and you see how many people are here. When we do a movie, we've had movie reviews, and all of them are phenomenal. And sometimes it's been Brother Craig and I. So, you know, part of the problem is that slide that you and I talk about a lot. Our people have been, you got to get a white boy credit. He's done a hell of a job on Black people.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate that answer, that response. But I tell you, man, something's drawn me to this, and for just being blatant, you have been the face of BGN for me, and having listened to Craig a week or two ago, I just got more excited. But you know, it is just the thing that I would do to anybody else or say to anybody else. I just felt like I had to find a way to try to ask that question. But as we go, I expect to continue to learn and just develop. And some of the brothers that I have not met, Brother Naru, but just haven't seen him online a couple of times, and just like, okay, he's in California, I think. Just seems like the type of brother that, man, I like meeting people with this like-mindedness, and that's the shit that I get behind. That's just the thing that, if you can meet people, man, with which I never really tried to package it this way, but the whole thing about the spiritualness behind it all, I think that is the connect. And so if you deal with it from that perspective, I think you do set yourself up to end up being successful. So I just look forward to getting more involved, learn as much as I can. I love the things I hear. I love the holistic view that you guys have about trying to just move this thing along. And I feel sorry for the people. I shouldn't even say feel sorry for them, but I feel some kind of way about the people who are not here, who are not letting themselves be exposed to this. I mean, they are associated with us, but there's 10 of us on this call. And when I've said in our circles, I've seen a whole lot more than that, but most of us are just not engaged. So thank you for the answer. And I just look forward to continuing to learn. My answers or my questions will always come from a place of trying to learn. So never meant any kind of other way.
That's beautiful, but Ted, and I'll tell you, and I tell the money this all the time, and I'm glad to see one of my LACE members on the call, Sister Travonia, one of our wonderful sisters here in the city of Shreveport. The people will come. The people will come. As we do successful projects, although my art project, which is coming up, this is a multi-million-dollar project. Blackboard Nation will receive some of the credit because I'm a member of Blackboard Nation. So we got several things that's rocking and rolling. As they start to see BGN members do successful things, leverage a few $1 million, win some elected position, the people will come. I'm glad it's small right now. You really don't want it to be too many people right now. We get the kinks out, get the infrastructure in place, and then you start to attract. But if you had like 5,000 or 10,000 people right now, it really wouldn't be a good thing. It really wouldn't be a good thing. And if you go to any of the individuals who are the liberation entertainers and look at their YouTube posts, their videos, some of them have 20,000 subscribers, members. It's easy to subscribe to YouTube, but how does that translate into active membership to doing empowerment projects, Brother Ted? It doesn't. We got somebody, man. Look, man, Tamani will call me when we got to interview somebody, and he'll be like, Craig, be nice to him. I said, I'm being nice. I want to hear him, But Ted, it don't take but a few seconds.
And you know what's funny, Ted, is that Craig is actually the nice one. He's the good cop. When you meet Brother Harlan, Jesus Lord, this brother has his tolerance for BS is like, but they are awesome brothers, and that's why they're here.
All right.
And through Tamani's spiritual power, Brother Ted, he connected all of these folks. And so that's why I told him it's great that he's there, because at this stage of the ball game, my focus is building the prototype in your hometown, our hometown. And it is so great that when he told me that you were on board, so it's like, boom, that's absolutely great. And so that's my focus now, which was my focus for the past, has been my focus for the past 25 years. So it just so happens he wants to do a national, international thing. I know it has to be done with a foundation. So now I can continue building the prototype while he starts to, mobilize the supplies that we need to erect the walls, the pier and beam system, the whole nine, so we can get towards the roof. But the foundation is the most important thing. So that way he can continue to do what he's doing now, solidifying Houston. I'm doing Shreveport, and we just keep on building.
And I'm gonna tell you, Brother Ted, from my own personal experience, one thing that has kept our movements and leaders from being bigger, better, and stronger is that a lot of times ego gets involved, and we don't want to admit that we're wrong, or we don't want to admit that we don't know something. If I were that way, then the things that I've learned from Brother Craig, I would still be trying to have a 100-city tour, and as he would say, build a house from the roof down. Sometimes, even if you have good ideas, you have good experiences, if you know something, there's always room for growth. And sometimes you just gotta sit back and listen, and accept better information when it comes your way. So a lot of times, our leaders, our organizations, ego gets in the way. And I tell people every day, all day, I'm trying to be free. If Brother Craig can help me get there faster, amen. If Sister Devotion comes along, who's a candidate for our spirituality department, if she can help me get there faster than Brother Craig, then amen. Brother Naru is supporting her, we're gonna get there faster. So I'm trying to be free, brother, by any means necessary. And I'm always grateful for people who show up, yourself included. People look at myself or Craig or Brother Naru, and they say, wow, you guys are this, you guys are that. But man, we are nothing without people like you supporting us. People like Sister Tara supporting us. People like Sister Devotions coming on board. So if we don't all make it together, we're not gonna make it. And we understand that. And that's
all
important.
right.
Yeah. Brother Terry?
I'm a student and I'm just listening. No, go ahead. I'm a student and I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. So let's keep it moving.
Yeah, if you're not a student, you probably did. So life, you keep learning. And if you stop learning, and if you're the smartest one in your circle, you need a new circle.
I knew it. I know it.
Brother Terry, did you have a question or comment? I see you turn your camera on once or twice.
Just a couple of comments. I'm always learning, always. Madam C.J. Walker was a great entrepreneur, and in building the foundation that you guys are speaking of, one of the challenges is understanding that we have to start with a foundation. We have to have people with ideals, with vision, and we have to kind of do what we have to create incubators, meaning that we find these talents, we find these ideals, and we try to help implement those. So if we have a project where it involves construction, for instance, or some sort of project like when I was with Craig when I was in Shreveport, we have to find those talents that are in our circle, being in the Black community, that can help lend to those. So inviting them to this forum might help build that, but we have to build incubators to grow the process. And I think about the story of Madam C.J. Walker and her being a visionary in hair care products and becoming a millionaire in a time where that was unthought of, especially for a Black female. We have to process those ideals and try to get back to that foundation, because when Craig and I grew up in Shreveport, you could go on any corner and find mentors that had businesses. They created businesses on their own in difficult times, but then all of that disappeared. So we have to get back to that most recent time and then try to build on the ideals and the concepts and the practices that everyone's speaking of which I think is beautiful. And we do have that opportunity to do that.
Exactly. And Terrence, to your point, as I launched the HBCU Preservation Challenge in the coming months, Louisiana is the first state that I implement the project at my alma mater, me and Mike Gunn's alma mater, Xavier, Dillard, Grambling, Southern, SUNO, and SUSLA here in Shreveport. But the next state, hopefully in 2022, 2023, that we expand will be in Texas. And of course, your alma mater of Texas Southern, Prairie View, Wiley, Paul Quinn, Texas College, Jarvis Christian, all of those schools will come on board. And what we're gonna do is just that at each one of those schools, create empowerment solution centers at those institutions, because Terrence, the only entity in the world, the only one that can mobilize, organize, energize, and galvanize all of these different factions of Negroes in America and throughout the diaspora, HBCUs.
Yeah.
They're the only one.
Yeah.
And so that incubator that you're talking about has to be established there. And, you know, this is something I've been working on for over 2 decades. And to now see Bowie State, Howard, Morehouse, Spelman have these economic development centers or entrepreneurial development centers on campus, and they're now focused on entrepreneurship, man, it makes my job that much easier. So I just got to pull off this project that sets everything into motion. And it's so great to have you on board, because security is a paramount as we move forward. And the other things and the other people that you're connected with. So that's why it's like, it is so great for you to write the things that you write on social media, Facebook, and that we've connected, and we just stitch the people of like minds. We don't need 10,000, 20,000 right now. No.
Correct.
We need a solid square, 4 corners, 90 degrees, solid foundation. And you can achieve that with a small group. We do a few projects, hit Shreveport, leverage a few seats, take care of some things in Houston. Trust me, we'll grow 20, 40, 50,000 over the next couple of years. All it takes is 1 or 2 projects. So this is the part that I like, because I've had to do this for the past 25 years, build small, build intelligently, so you don't have to go back and keep on rebuilding.
Right.
And so,
no, you and I have had that conversation. I'm in total agreement with you on that. It takes a small group like this to use the power of the HBCU to be that incubator. We just have to try to ensure that we reach those kids and adults to utilize that same system.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, Brother Michael. Mike, you turned off your mic for a second. Did you have a question or comment for Brother Greg?
Yeah, here's my question. I wanted to take it more of a universal question. What classification would you put the current HBCU presidents in? Because it seems like right now it's the best time to be Black, best time to go to HBCU, just black times Black. But I tell people that's great. Oh, but when that old Faye wake up, you better watch out. He already woke up. Look at all the state legislatures that are changing all these laws and stuff. And part 2 to my question is, how should we view the Texas law SB 8 referencing the abortion piece, then also vote? You can chop that up, unload as you see fit, but I just wanted to kind of connect those 2 and then Maybe that's programming for next time. But I just want
Well,
to
that second question was what tonight's show was about, brother. You just missed that part.
That's good.
I came on late.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's good because that was the basis of the show. Now I'll go back. I'll handle that one first. We referenced that brother Mike, and of course we are adverse against that. But like I told Tamani, they got the vote. And when you got the team and you got the vote, you can make those things happen. So you just have to now work at the grassroots level from a multi-ethnic perspective to stitch this thing together. Unfortunately, you don't have a lot of Black population in the state of Texas, so you gotta link up with like-minded Latinos, like-minded Native Americans, like-minded Caucasians, like-minded Asians. And what Fred Hampton was attempting to do, and before I even knew that he had done this Rainbow Coalition plan, I mean, my political philosophy is called culturalism, and that's what that's all about. We're not going to go advocate for white folks, grassroots white folks. They got to advocate for themselves, but we can be coalition partners and allies and stand with them on key issues. But those, they got to be people like John Brown. Ain't gonna be like no Mary Poppins as white folks. So that takes care of the abortion thing. We are against that, but they got the votes. As it relates to the classification of the presidents of the HBCUs, most of them are bourgeoisie Negroes who don't have the real understanding of what it takes. And that's why we got to come in and show them how to expand the vision and the mission of HBCUs, because they were not designed to become solution centers for our people. They weren't designed.
That's right.
So we don't want to change their mission and their vision. We just want to enhance it. And so that's why we're coming in with this project around art, and that'll get them galvanized. We got to show them the way, Brother Mike. And Grambling and Southern are the two greatest HBCU brands. Xavier is the greatest goddamn HBCU in the world. We know that. We know that, Brother Mike. But we now work together as a family to now push this art project, bring the Empowerment Solution Centers to the campuses, involve our alumni, involve our current student body, involve our faculty and the supporters, so that we can now create other programs, services that we can now bring to our people. And I gotta, Tamani, probably the next show, I wanna really discuss something that Harlan and I have broken down, and that is the $1.5 trillion African American consumption disposable income figure. And there's some things in there that I want to really discuss that they've never been discussed. And we talk about this in general, but I want to get real specific so that we can see where our opportunities exist within that $1.5 trillion. But that's my response to the president question, Brother Mike. They're typically bourgeoisie Negroes attempting to emulate white institutions, but we're gonna bring this goddamn money to the table, and we're gonna propose having the first ever HBCU convention so that we can now start to handle our business. I know they got HBCU week or whatever that's going on right now in DC, or I think it's going on right now. But we got to expand that so that we can really get to the business of talking about our business.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Brother Craig? Brother Mike? Nope. Any other questions?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you,
Cool.
Sandy.
All right, Brother Craig. We are hour over. Q&A.
No problem. Well,
All right. Any closing comments, Brother Craig?
just want to thank everybody for coming out. We keep on building, keep on growing. I just stopped over to the Hurricane Ida temporary housing facility here in Shreveport. Some of the residents from South Louisiana, New Orleans, have gone back. The final individuals are supposed to be leaving on Saturday. So let's keep them in our prayers and whatnot, because having gone through this with Hurricane Katrina is no joke, being away from your home for any extended period of time. Well, thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Amen. Always remember that no one can do everything. Brother Mike?
No, I'm saying amen.
Okay, cool. All right. Always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always remember that nothing is more sacred. Not you, not me, your kids, my kids, your family, my family. Nothing is more sacred than liberation, salvation, empowerment, and freedom of Black people. Because if our people don't make it as a whole, as a tribe, as a squad, as a nation, then those individual smaller groups will also not make it. So we have to make sure that the group, the tribe, the nation has power, so we can protect those that we care about, that we love, and we can do what we need to be doing as we see fit, and get back to running and ruling the earth like we used to. So with that, thank you guys very much. God bless, and hope to see you next Thursday. And also, we have our movie review this coming Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. We're reviewing the movie Fresh. And as I said to Brother Ted, every single one of our movie reviews have been eye-opening, educational, entertaining, absolutely awesome. So if you can get up that early, we encourage you to be there, because everything we do is an effort to educate our people so we can move forward. So before I close out, Sister Devotion, did you have something you wanted to say? You unmuted your mic briefly.
Yes, I was just going to say ashe to what you said, because it sounds like a dua, how we will grow and empower each other as we continue on this platform and on this path. And I just want to say peace and light to everyone. Thank you again, Brother Craig, Brother Tamani, for awesome show and enlightening us.
Amen. You're very welcome. So on that note, God bless you guys. Hopefully I'll see you next Thursday and this Saturday as well. You guys have a good evening. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye. Peace.